18 has access details of how India decimated Pakistan in the last night's strikes. As top government sources have told us that India's strikes hit Pakistani air bases in an operation even bigger in scale than Operation Sindoor. Within 90 minutes, India hit the Noor Khan Air Base in Rawalpindi, Rafiki Air Base in Shorkot, Murid Air Base in Punjab, Sukur Air Base in Sindh, the Sialkot Air Base, the Pasroor Airstrip, Sargodha Air Base, even the Bholari Air Base near Karachi and Jakokabad Air Base as well. The Chunya radar installation was also taken out. India fired its BrahMos missile and Hammer and Scalp missiles from Rafale at these big air bases in its biggest set of attacks and Pakistan has ever faced from India in the last few decades. Aman Sharma brings us more perspective to that information that's come in. Aman, India, through those very critical attacks or strikes on these air bases when they were completely razed down to a state of rubble, has proven its ability to strike and penetrate deep into enemy territory.
Well, yes, Akanksha, and you just heard the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh say that the strikes by India were not just near the border of Pakistan, but the dhamak of the Indian Army was heard by Pakistan in its headquarters, its army headquarters, Rawalpindi. That is a very, very significant statement. And the inside story on how this ceasefire came about is also very fascinating between Friday night and Saturday night. We are told by top government sources that the big escalation was on late Friday night by Pakistan when it fired a ballistic missile towards our military base in Sirsa as well as another military station in Punjab. Both these missiles were brought down, but then India decided that it has to reply in bigger measure because this seems like a full military attack with ballistic missiles being targeted at India. The Prime Minister approved this big strike in which 10 air bases of Pakistan have been targeted. The most important one being the Noor Khan Air Base, which is near the Rawalpindi headquarters of the Pakistan Army, a very key logistical base. Near that also is the Nuclear Command Center of Pakistan. So it was this particular strike along with the other strikes, the bases you have listed, the Rafik Air Base, the other air bases that we have attacked, but the Noor Khan Air Base, and the Defence Minister also mentioning that how Rawalpindi mein dhamak sunai di Bharatiya missileon ki. India targeted these air bases with BrahMos, with Scalp missiles, which are there on our Rafales. This big attack which happened is the one that has panicked Pakistan because taking out these big air bases showed India's capability to hit deep, to hit strongly. Within 90 minutes, the air defenses could not stop these strikes. And that is why we hear that the first call from Secretary Marco Rubio, which went to Asim Munir, that unprecedented call was made to Asim Munir after India, the US discovered that Pakistan had fired ballistic missiles at India. And after that, after the India strike, it has emerged that Mr. Vance got together and called up both sides to de-escalate because there was a serious chance, Akanksha, that this could escalate into a nuclear confrontation. And that is why we see that US intervened and this ceasefire for now has been brought about.
Oh, absolutely, Aman. I'm sure you will agree that these sites that India struck, all of those air bases, even one of them being an airstrip, were very consciously identified and thought over, and then that decision to strike them was taken. And remember, all of these air bases are critical to their army installation. While one was providing a refueling facility, which was at the Noor Khan Air Base, some were serving as the command and control quarters as well. But having said that, the larger message that's gone behind, I think, has already been elucidated by the Honorable Raksha Mantri today as he was inaugurating the BrahMos missile facility, the production facility that's going to now be kicking into action in Lucknow.
Absolutely, Akanksha, and I am also told by government sources that this call that J.D. Vance made to the Indian Prime Minister asking India to de-escalate, it was made very clear to the US as well by India that, look, we never wanted to target the military sites of Pakistan. Operation Sindoor on May 7th was only against the terror infrastructure, but that was also a tremendously successful operation because the headquarters of Jaish, LET, Hizbul Mujahideen were targeted by India. It is Pakistan which started off by first trying to attack our military installations with drones and then ultimately with ballistic missiles on the night of Friday. India had to retaliate, and India has also specifically made it clear before this ceasefire announcement came of the big policy change India has made, that any future act of terror against India will be seen by India as an act of war and will be responded accordingly. This was also made very clear to the US. Of course, there is now a ceasefire because India had accomplished its objectives with Operation Sindoor. It is only due to Pakistan's escalation of attacking our military sites that India had to take this big step. Akanksha, this has not even happened in earlier wars when India has targeted the air bases of Pakistan deep inside territory of Pakistan, not just the border sites, as Rajnath Singh was just saying in his address to the Lucknow BrahMos facility event. So this is very significant. That is the inside details, and India right now is also, Akanksha, I would tell you, in a verify approach. We will not trust Pakistan totally. We will verify, re-verify everything. Our air defenses, our Operation Sindoor is still very much on. Yes, there's a ceasefire, but if Pakistan does anything, we will respond with equal double measure if that case arises. The US has managed to achieve a ceasefire, but India has not let us guard down.
All right. Many thanks to you, Aman, for bringing us all those latest inputs. With that, let me also introduce our honorable guests on the broadcast. I'm joined in by Lieutenant General KJ Singh, who is the former Army commander, Major General Shashi Asthana, who is a former DG Infantry at the Indian Army. Many thanks to you, gentlemen, for joining in. If General KJ Singh, if I may begin with you, I'm sure you will agree that the attacks that India carried out on the interim night between the 9th and 10th of May, as it pulverized those air bases in Pakistan, were a defining moment, not just in the tensions or the messaging going out there for Islamabad, but in the trajectory of tensions that we've seen so far between India and Pakistan.
Akanksha, Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
And thank you for having me on your platform. See, firstly, it started with Pahalgam. The response was in terms of destroying their terror hubs. We got to Markaz-e Taiba, Markaz-e Subhanallah, Mehmoon-e-Joya, all three of LET, Jaish and Hizbul. Pakistan responded by going into our military installations and civilian areas and even religious places. They were indiscriminate. Somewhere along the line, Pakistan also decided to use ballistic missile, Fateh 2, which is not advisable by a nuclear-armed nation. Very little to discern difference which missile is nuclear and which is non-nuclear, unless it is declared so. So here Fateh is fired at our air bases. We managed to successfully neutralize it. So in calibrated response to that, measured response to that, we had to deliver a message that if you do this, then nothing is beyond targeting for us. And accordingly, we went to their key bases like Rahim Yar Khan, Rafiki, Murid, Noor Khan.
Right.
And in that, the proximity of these bases. See, earlier also, we had destroyed their AD headquarters right at Lahore. Our drone had also gone and demonstrated the capability at the stadium in Rawalpindi.
All right.
But then they are slow learners.
I also want to bring in quickly Professor Brahma Chelani, who I can see has also joined in on the broadcast. Professor Chelani, we spoke on the night when these air bases were being destroyed. We speak at a time now after the ceasefire has been violated. That too at a time when an entire credit-taking war has broken out globally. How do you assess the current developments?
Akanksha, there are many questions that have arisen since yesterday's announcement by the Indian government that it has agreed to a ceasefire. The ceasefire agreement was reached rather abruptly at a time when India had the upper hand militarily. As you point out, that India had pulverized Pakistani air defenses. Having degraded Pakistan's air defenses, India should have taken that advantage, exploited that advantage by inflicting high punitive costs on the Pak military, which is the sponsor of cross-border terrorism. Instead of pressing home their advantage, we abruptly announced a ceasefire that took even Modi's key members of his team by surprise. Everybody was stunned that suddenly